This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. As I record this in March 2020, we are in the midst of the coronavirus crisis. There are a lot of unknowns, and circumstances are rapidly changing. And one of the new circumstances for many of you listening is you are perhaps working from home more than you have in the past. And if you're like the school districts around where I live, your kids are at home because school districts have been shut down in the middle of the school year, and you're attempting, maybe for the first time, to get your kids to do their schoolwork at home. And I know that can be deeply challenging. So we're going a little away from the general focus of our podcasts in terms of construction leadership to hit a more general topic. And that topic is going to be based around some expertise and experience that I have. Because in 2009, my wife and I set out on an adventure. And that adventure was homeschooling our kids. And today, over a decade later, we are still on that adventure. By no means are we perfect, but I do have some experience to share with you that you may find very helpful as you go through your challenges of having kids at home in an unusual way outside of, summer holidays or vacation time, and having to focus in on having them do as much productive schoolwork as possible. So in today's episode of Construction Genius, you're going to get 9 tips for homeschooling your kids. And I hope you find them helpful. So I'm going to tell you the tips to begin with, just to kind of pique your interest, and then we'll break down each one of the 9. So here they come. Number 1, space. Number 2, schedule. Thirdly, sports. 4th, sweats. 5th, screens. 6th, sweep. 7, spats. 8, sleep. And 9, spouse. Space, schedule, sports, sweats, screens, sweep, spats, sleep, spouse. Those are the 9 things we're going to be discussing. I'm going to hit them pretty quick here, just give you a few insights and tips, and I hope you'll find it helpful. So first one, space. One of the keys that we found to be very helpful for our kids, and we have 5 kids ranging from 5 to 15, and actually 14, almost 15, Act's about 20, but we have 5 to 14 in the house at the moment, and they're all involved with homeschool. So what we do is we set it up so each kid has his or her own space that they do their work in. So right now, my 2 oldest sons are sitting at the dining room table, and they have their books and their computers there, and they're working through stuff. And I want to encourage you to think about a good space for each one of your kids, if you have multiple kids, to be doing their work during the day. Give them a space where they'll be able to focus. They have permission to get their books out and all that kind of stuff, and just work through the various things that they have to handle in terms of their schoolwork. So get them their space. Number 2, get them their schedule. And just a little tip on the space. If you can at all do this, let's say they are using the dining room or some other area of the house that people use on a more regular basis, make sure they're cleaning up after themselves every day so that the space doesn't get inundated by their school. You got to work with them on that little bit. Second thing is the schedule. Now, I'm sure that if you don't homeschool normally and your kids are home from their regular schools, they're going to have some sort of schedule, some sort of online class with your school district, but you may find some gaps in that schedule. And so you want to make sure that they have a regular schedule that they are responsible for and that they understand every single day. If you give them too much free time, it can get a little hectic around the house. They need to know what they need to produce every day, what work they're responsible for, and a schedule really helps them with that. Third thing is sports. And this is super obvious. We're really blessed in that we have a park right by our house. It's a soccer field. My kids just got back from running around the field doing a little baseball. Sports takes a lot of our time during the year, and with Little League being shut down, it provides a lot of gaps in that schedule and a lot of need for our kids to be exercising and being occupied. So make sure that you're giving them plenty of time to get out of the house and to run around, and be disciplined in actually, getting them out of the house. So give them something to do. Make sure that they're active. The more active they are, the less squirrely they are. You know how that is. So give them consistent opportunities to be exercising and to be doing something positive in the physical realm. Fourth thing is sweats. And this is a really important one, I think. One of my sons, he's quite happy sitting around the house all day in his pajamas. And one of the things my wife and I do is we ask him, and we, insist that he actually changes into some other clothing. Now you can tell, here I am working out of my office. If you're watching the video, you can tell that I'm pretty casually dressed. And so we don't expect him to put on a school uniform or something, but at least put on a pair of shorts or a pair of sweats or a pair of jeans that are different from your sleeping clothes, because it helps them then to click into this idea that, hey, I'm doing something other than sleeping or hanging out. I'm here to do a little bit of work. So make sure that they are dressed in a way that helps them to understand that it's work time now and time to focus on their school. Fifth thing is screens. And I know this is going to be a really big deal, because one of the tendencies in a situation like this, where your kids are at home, you're at home, is you want to have them distracted and occupied as much as possible. And that's where the screens come in. They're going to want to play more Fortnite, more Modern Warfare, more Minecraft, more Madden, more FIFA. Whatever the case is, the kids are going to want more screen time. So I encourage you to limit their screen time. Work first, play later. Make sure that if they are on the screens, that they are using it in a positive way. I know that there's lots of resources out there. And if they are going to be hanging out with their friends online, there are certain programs that they can use, certain creative programs, or even there's drawing programs that they can collaborate with their friends on that can be very positive. So give them an opportunity to collaborate with their friends. Do your best to limit their screen time, but I would say not to over limit it, because there is going to be more spaces in their schedule as a result of them not being in school and not being in sports. So just make sure you monitor it, though, because you don't want, a bunch of video game zombies in your house during this time. The sixth thing is sweep. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Give them an opportunity really to have chores while they're at home. We found that giving our kids chores to do on a regular basis is extremely helpful. I'm sure you already do that with your kids, but they can do extra chores during this time. If there's some weeding that needs to be done around the garden, or, you should be able to have some sparkling bathrooms during this time. Work with them on doing chores. It gives them a sense of fulfillment and a sense of accomplishment. They may kick and scream a little bit when you do give them that work to do, but you know what it's like. They kick and scream going in, but if you're consistent with them as a parent, at the end of the time, they're glad that they did it, and your house is cleaner as a result. 7 is spats. Now, you know how your kids fight, and you know how sometimes your house can get a little bit crazy. I know our house can at times. And you're going to have spats when your kids are at home from school. And the thing I would like to encourage you, and something I've learned over the years, is to be slow to react to the spits and the spats that are happening at the house. My office is upstairs, and my kids do all of their schoolwork, and they spend most of their time during the day downstairs. So I'm able to focus, they're able to focus. But sometimes the roar of the crowd comes upstairs and it can distract me. And one of the things that I've found to be helpful is just to be slow to react in that circumstance, not to be instantly coming out of my office and telling them to shut up, but let them get through their spits and their spats. Obviously, if the blood starts to flow and it begins to elevate, you got to intervene as a parent, but don't be too quick to intervene. Let them see if they can work stuff out and maintain your self-control, particularly if you're not used to working at home and the pressure's rising because of the challenges that you're facing at work. Try your best to control yourself, be slow to speak, be quick to listen, and be slow to get mad. The eighth thing is sleep. And this is one of the things that we found to be most beneficial about homeschooling. Our kids get a lot of sleep, and we're totally okay with that. One of the ways that you can benefit your kids most is by giving them as much opportunity to sleep as they need. I know my teenagers love to sleep. They sleep a good 10 hours a day at least. And I'm okay with that because they're getting their work done. They're not just sitting around the house being lazy. They're getting their work done. And the great thing about homeschooling is you don't necessarily have to wake your kids up at 7 to hop on the bus to go to school. They can sleep in a little bit, and that can really help their attitudes. That's what I found. When my kids get the sleep that they need, they're much more energetic during the day. They're much more focused, and their attitudes are better. So let them get plenty of sleep. And then the final thing is spouse. The ninth thing is spouse. It's key for you and your spouse to be on the same page, particularly if you've never done this homeschooling thing before, or you haven't had kids at home during the school year on a consistent basis. So get with your spouse and make sure you're on the same page in terms of things like space and schedule and screen time and all that kind of stuff. Because what you want to do is you want to disagree in private, but have a united front in public. And it's tough sometimes to do that. I know I'm not 100% successful when it comes to that. But whenever you can, have your disagreements in private so that when you're out with the kids, when you're explaining to them the new situation and going through something new, such as homeschooling, if it's not something that you do on a normal basis, then it can be something that can be really helpful. So keep on the same page with your spouse. Be supportive of one another. My wife is awesome in terms of the work that she does with the kids, with the homeschooling, and I do my very best as I'm running my business to support her as far as that's concerned. So I hope you find this helpful. I know we're in a unique circumstance, a unique time that many of us haven't been in before. I want to encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity to connect with your family as much as you can, and to take the opportunity to think about your business in this time and what are you going to do differently as a result of what you're learning through this crisis? What's going to change? I know many of us in construction particularly are going to be deeply challenged. As I'm recording this, there are a lot of unknowns. There are a lot of uncertainties. But if the fundamentals of your business are strong, then you should be able to come out of this time with a head of steam, hopefully. But again, because of those uncertainties and unknowns, it's critical for you as a leader to keep your head up, to keep your chin up. You know, Winston Churchill famously said, if you're going through hell, keep going. And I'm encouraging you. We cannot control many of the circumstances that are affecting our business at the moment or our lives, but ultimately we do have control over ourselves. And so with that in mind, I want to just encourage you to do your very best to control yourself, do your best to be optimistic, do your best as a leader to communicate that optimism to others as well. So I hope you found this podcast helpful. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you are going through some challenges with your kids in terms of them being at home and just all the stuff that we're going through at the moment. Reach out to me on LinkedIn or on my website, ericanderton.com. I'm happy to share with you any wisdom that I have regarding this kind of stuff because, like I said, I've been doing it with my wife for over a decade, and it's something that we really enjoy and we found to be beneficial. And so I hope you found these insights helpful too. Feel free to share the podcast with anyone that you may know who will benefit from it. And feel free to give us a rating and a review where you get your podcasts. Really appreciate you listening. And I'll talk to you next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Construction Genius. Hope you found that 1% of inspiration to help you in the next few days. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Share it with other construction leaders who you think would benefit. And always remember that the show is brought to you by Kick-Ass Meetings. I've been working with construction leaders since 2004, teaching them how to run extremely effective problem-solving meetings that gets their people collaborating, taps into their creativity. And to get yourself a free copy of the Kick-Ass Meeting Report, go to www.ericanderton.com/kickassmeetings. Grab yourself that free report, read it, use it in your business. You'll find it extremely useful. And thanks again for listening.